Hello friends and foes, I'm Lee of the Reverie, and welcome to my comic review and analysis series. Today we'll be looking at Gargoyles Demona, issue number 1. The text has been edited to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by Disney. Go out and support your local comic book shops. Issue number 1 of Gargoyles Demona was written by Greg Wilson, with art by Frank Palv. So something you need to know going into this comic is that if you have not watched the Gargoyle TV show and don't know anything about Demona's backstory, this first issue especially is going to be rather confusing to a new reader. There is a brief overview of her backstory on the first 2 pages, but that's it. So if you have not watched Gargoyle TV show, I highly recommend you go watch it and save this video for later. The story takes place in 1093 AD and follows Demona as she encounters another gargoyle clan and comes into conflict with the local human nobility, and one of them happens to be the Hunter. At the end of the story, Demona adopts a young gargoyle who names herself Angelica. I noticed that when she introduces herself, she says, "I am called Demona," instead of "My name is Demona." This is probably a hangover from the fact that Scottish gargoyles traditionally do not have individuals' names. Some are given names by the humans they cohabitate with, but most do not. Demona introduces herself this way could be her way of telling the other gargoyles that this is what humans call me, so this is what you will call me. On the next page, we are introduced to the human king, who is King Malcolm. He is based off a real historical king who, coincidentally, died in 1093. We also get introduced to his rather large family. I definitely couldn't keep track of all of them throughout the story, but there is a nice recap of all their fates towards the end. In this panel, you can see Brooklyn's reflection in the sword. Of course, at this point in time, Demona didn't know that this is Brooklyn. It's a very complicated story that involves a lot of time travel, but it is a good one, and I'd recommend you check it out. Of course, Demona's old nemesis, the Hunter, shows up, as he always does, a nice haunting reminder of Demona's mistakes. Speaking of which, it would not be a Demona story if they did not touch on her self-destructive tendencies. Demona is a very passionate character. She loves deeply and hates intently, and her hate blinds her utterly. Her hatred for humanity, her hatred for the Hunter, has all led to more death and destruction, and she continues to blame it all on everybody but herself. She cannot comprehend that she's in the wrong. In her mind, she will always be the victim, always the person who was wronged. It's very ironic that Angelica essentially gives herself the same name as Demona's biological daughter, completely unaware of that fact. It's a nice hint towards the inevitable tragedy of their relationship. I really loved Demona's design in this comic. The double braids in her hair and the sword are all fantastic new elements to her design, as well as keeping the shape language of her original design from the TV show, as well as other elements that are important to her design, like her gold headpiece. I really love the art style. It has the same vibe as the original TV show without having to be a one-to-one recreation as the original show. That can sometimes produce an uncanny valley or look like screenshots. Overall, I really enjoyed this comic, even though it was relatively short. It's a good setup for future of this series, and I think the writer understood Demona's character, and I trust them to understand the tragedy of her character and how that will affect the story going forward. I'm excited to see where it all goes. I rate this first issue a 6 out of 10. Don't forget to like and comment. No AI was used in the making of this video. Farewell for now.